Everyone, and welcome to another edition of Koinonia Couch. Today, we are switching things up. I know most of the times we talk about different things dealing with life because we believe that ministry, holistic ministry, isn't just dealing with stories from the Bible, but how to make those stories pragmatic to issues of the day. So we talk about things like marriage, things about being a single mom, being a single dad. We talked about millennials, talked about dating, we talked about church, we talk about so many different things as finances, so many different things. Today, we want to talk about something that's dealing with one of our most precious resources, and that is our young people. And so we're going to talk about today about some of the issues we're hearing about school, return to school, what do we do, what should we do? People are afraid to come back to school. Some people try to make decisions of what school they go back to. Do I do remote learning? Do I do in-person learning? And so I thought it would be fantastic as the summer is coming to a close and we're getting to open our doors back for school here at RWG STEM Academy, that we want to just kind of open up the door and kind of talk about education across the board. So I have some very special people with me today. If you have children, if you are a guardian, if you are an aunt taking care of your nieces or nephews, if you are a grandmother who are taking care of kids that will be in school, if you are a 10th grader with your own apartment, I need you to pay attention today and take some good notes about what may be some things to consider as the school year is approaching. So briefly, I want to introduce you to our panelists. Starting from my left, work to my right, start on my end, right here with Miss Beatty. Go.
Hi, I'm Camila Beatty, and I'm a parent here at RWG STEM Academy.
And what grade are your kids going to be in the fall?
My kids will be 8th and 9th grade.
8th and 9th grade.
I'm Paula Brown. I'm co-founder of the A.W. Brown Fellowship Leadership Academy. We opened and I started there as teacher and vice president of our school board, and later became vice principal and principal and executive director. And my last year there, I was the deputy superintendent and chief operating officer.
Wow, so you just did everything. and tell me, so you got screwed from how many students to how many when you left there?
We started in 99 with 99 students.
Wow.
And when I left, we had a full enrollment of 2,400 students.
Wow.
With a waiting list of over 2,000 for that year.
Fantastic. And listen, we talked the other week. This is Wonder Woman of education. She's going to really bless our life with some education stuff.
I paid him to say that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My name is Jared Howell. I am the school
Check out
board
the
president.
voice, though, with Jared Howell. I'm talking about the voice. I'm like, almost gave you my number, man. I'm trying to figure out the coolness and the swag. Go ahead, sir.
Trying to get it a little bit. But
Yeah,
I'm the school board president here at RWG.
Awesome, sir. And what do you do for a living now?
I am a sales rep for East Bay Team Sales.
And when you were with the public school system, you did what there?
So, yes, I was a public school teacher and coach for 6 years in Arlington ISD. So definitely have a lot of years in education and just love being in this opportunity to help kids.
And you also was over an AVID instructor or something like that?
Yes, college readiness course that's nationwide that does a good job of preparing kids.
Remind me to touch on AVID before we leave. I want to get back to that. Remind me to talk about that. Yes, ma'am. Put your hands together.
Good afternoon. I'm Ms. Tremaine Reynolds, and I'm the principal here at RWG.
The principal of RWG STEM Academy. The principal. Go, ma'am. Say more.
Well, I'm enjoying my time here at RWG. Much like Mr. Howell, I've been in education for a while now. I've been a teacher. I've been a team lead. I've been a curriculum writer. Curriculum is my passion. I've written curriculum from scratch, as well as trained teachers on curriculum and instruction. I have also been an assistant principal, also an assistant superintendent of schools, and now I'm here at RWG.
Awesome, and we are blessed to have you. Sir.
I'm Chad Bowers.
The voices of the men. I'm like, whoa. Come on, sir.
I'm the head girls basketball coach and probably be coaching 8th grade too, girls.
Mm-hmm.
I'm formerly coming from a public school. I was the behavior specialist for special ed. I also coached college basketball in Kansas for about 4 years, and I've got a real big basketball background.
And you're certified. What's that certification you have? It's for like CPI.
CPI.
What is that for?
It's a restraint certification.
That means that you know how to break up stuff professionally.
Not just break it up, like if you become violent towards anyone, yourself or any of us up here, I can
You know how to legally
subdue
me.
legally without hurting you.
So send your kids here. We can hold them. We know how to hold them without hurting them. We know how to hold them without hurting them. Yes, ma'am, on the end.
Hi, everybody. My name is Katie Knapp, and I will be the new ELAR teacher.
Yep. First year teacher.
Yes, sir. I'm a first year. I'm really excited to be here and just to give all that I can to the students.
And I tell you, she is the most bubbly person you ever meet in your planet. I mean, when she smiles, rays of sun beams from her mouth and her ears and her eyes. It's the craziest thing in the world. And so guys, I want to get started because I want to actually re-air this tonight because I think this is so important. And certain parents are at work and aren't able to stream this now. So I want to re-air this tonight because I think this is such an important topic. So let's just get right into this. You know, many of us, so from your own perspective, and as you have insight, just kind of raise your hand, I come to you. But from your perspective, what should parents be considering during this time when deciding where and how to send their kids back to school this semester? What type of things should they be considering when it comes to where should I send my child and how should they do their learning? I mean, because this is a big discussion going on in homes everywhere. Do I do remote learning or I do in person? What should parents be considering in making that decision?
Dr. Goins, just from what I've seen as I've toured here, you guys are covering all the bases in that you're in your love for children and your concern for their safety. You're ensuring that all of the safety measures are being put in place. And that's also set through your climate and culture. In that they're feeling loved and that exudes from your staff and from the very first moment that you enter the building. So when children know that they're cared for and parents do too, when they have that kind of assurance that when I drop my child off at that door, they're left with people who truly love them.
So you're saying one of the things that parents should consider is putting their kids in an environment where they're more than just a number, where the staff and the ethos of the staff is to love on each individual child.
Yes, sir, very much so.
Right.
One of the things that was important to me when I was running the school is I would never have a staff member that I would not have my own child with. And so when you're leaving your children, your most precious gift with anyone, you want to make sure that they have your child's best interest in heart.
How can you gauge that, though? I mean, how can you tell that just by walking in? And I mean, because I know in the public school, you really don't know kind of what you're getting, right? So, I mean, so how can you know? I mean, give me one or two things that this is an example of this school is vested with your child's whole person and not just their presence. What's one thing that can be looked at?
I would say that when you walk into a school, you should see teachers that off the top, just looking at them, you can tell they have a heart and a passion for kids. And one way to recognize that is how they greet students. I know as an administrator, one of my main things is I want teachers at the door ready to receive their students every day. People don't realize how that makes an impact.
Right.
If you study your students, you learn your students, you learn their body language, you learn their responses. As they're approaching you at the door, you can tell what kind of day it's going to be. But you have to be in tune with your students to know that. Well, how are you going to know that if they never see you other than you sitting behind a desk?
That's a very good point.
Or you just giving worksheets.
Is that some of the training that you're doing in August with our?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. I love it. So I have one of our MVPs here. This is Miss Beatty. She has two students. One's going to be an 8th grader and a first-time high schooler. Will be here in the fall. You got to tell me. So the question that a parent may have is, why would I pay to come to a private school when I can send them to a public school for free? Why are you and your husband, choosing to pay for your child's education aside from sending them to a public school? What's making y'all want to do that?
For us, like you said earlier, It is really important to get that one-on-one interaction with the teachers, and the child is not just a number. I feel like that it's a better learning environment for them, and they feel more comfortable here, not being just a number and receiving the proper education that they need.
So with them having been in, have you always been in private school?
No, sir.
So this is the first time you've ever been in private school?
Yes.
What's been some of the parental differences that you've seen as a parent? What have you seen that you say, you know what, this is different? What's been different that you've noticed since they've been here at RWG?
Well, for me, when, like Ms. Reynolds said, when the kids come to school in the morning, they're greeted at the door. You all do prayer. They have taken a liking to the sports that you all have here. That was something that they weren't interested in the public school because it's just so large and there's so many children there that it just didn't work for them.
Dr. Goins?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I piggyback on what you guys
Sure.
are saying too, as far as parents? Because your question was, how do parents know what to do? COVID-19 has done a lot of things. COVID-19 has, for some people has been a curse, but in other ways it's been a blessing as well. And I think that during this time, COVID-19 has really pushed parents to be more in tune with their students and their students' needs.
That's a good point.
And so this whole situation is really causing you as a parents period, to know what's best for my child. Parents got to see that for some students, being in front of a computer all day, every day did not work. They needed that social interaction.
Wow.
Even if it's social distancing interaction. And then for other parents, they got to see some of the pressures and the things that the students are facing academically. And so I think it's given the parents a different perspective
Very
too.
good
I just
point.
wanted to kind of add that in there as far as parents deciding if they want their students to be face-to-face or online or both.
Coach Bowers, you have something you want to add to that?
I mean, and just to piggyback what she's saying, this also with behavior, like at home, like to see what we go through every day with them. I mean, and I'm not being funny, but especially where I come from, dealing with emotionally disturbed kids.
Wow.
So those kids, you never know the temperature until probably close to lunchtime when they flip a desk over, tear the room up, and you having to restrain them and call the parents and tell them why you had to restrain them because he's trying to hurt himself or hurt other people in the classroom.
And so you're saying they may not understand that because they haven't had to be with them all day.
All day, exactly.
Wow.
So we have to just, it's a difference with COVID now. So now you understand he wasn't lying when he said he flips a switch in 2 seconds. So now
Do you think parents really have no idea how their kids are, or they just in the deep?
Sometimes they could be a little naive to say, I'm a dad. So sometimes I could be a little naive to say, no. But now that he's at home 24/7, you see the triggers.
Sure.
Now you see
Gotcha.
the triggers.
Gotcha. And so coming back, I think I love what you guys are talking about, that COVID has forced parents to now you have to walk in the shoes of a teacher now. And man, listen, that's scary stuff, because I think parents are realizing this isn't as easy as I thought. I mean, because not only do you have to know the discipline of your subject matter, but you got to be a little bit of a counselor. You got to be a little bit of a mom. There's a lot that goes in to just teaching content. And so one of my big questions is this: with there already being a disparity in academic performance, when you just look at lower income to upper middle income, there's already a disparity in test scores and academic performance. And now when you input learning from home, now you have to assume that the parent is able to grasp the content to be able to help their child. Is that scary? Are you guys concerned that the gap will become even larger now, that certain kids are going to have to be home, especially when you insert the fact that certain students don't have the money to buy the proper tools for long distance learning? I mean, are you guys concerned with that, or should we be concerned with that? Anyone? Ms. Knapp, you have something on that?
I think it's good to be concerned, but also being in a Christian environment, I don't really feel as frightened anymore because I have faith that God will get us through this whole entire process.
Sure. I'm talking for the parents though who aren't here. Their kids aren't here. They're at home, and so now you have so many first generation college students right? Like this,
Yes.
our students will maybe the first ones in their home to ever go to college. So now you're asking a parent who may or may not, they're doing the best they can, but they may or may not even graduate high school. And so now you ask them to watch over a student for a subject that they didn't do well in. I mean, is there a concern there?
No, it definitely is a concern. I mean, not just for first generation students, but just parents in general that work or that during this time, I mean, just the job losses are going on right now, so everybody's trying to work hard to stay essential in the position they're in. So just the time constraint of having children at home and being able to support their academic learning, I definitely have a concern of just our kids getting what they need, especially in the middle school age groups and for freshmen coming in. I think sophomores and upperclassmen kind of have a feel of where they are and what they need to do, but especially for the younger grades, needing that support, needing that one-on-one environment, just a close-knit environment is definitely what's needed.
Jared Howell, as I mentioned earlier, he's president of our RWG STEM Academy school board, and he just said something that honestly, until you said it, I never even considered it. Because we've been talking a lot about, the parents helping the kids, right? He said, but some parents still working. So now we're saying we're expecting them to get off work and come home and go to work with kids. I didn't even think about that. And so that should also be something that parents consider. Remote learning versus in-person learning is, do I even have the time to be here with my kids' academic? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
That's
and
a
not
great
to mention
insight.
that so many people think that anyone can teach.
Yeah.
And I think once you attempt that, you find that it's vastly different. Educators understand learning styles, et cetera, whereas online you're basically limited to auditory and visual. But the majority of our students are kinesthetic and tactile, and if you don't have that experience in a classroom, then a large portion of their learning styles even go unmet.
That is such a great point. Can you tell us kind of what are we going to be doing here if it came to the remote learning being, because I know some things we're putting in place right now that if that happened, we have some things in place to make that as seamless as possible. Give me a couple of those things of what we're doing here for our kids that may have to do remote learning.
Absolutely. And so that is a part of our game plan because we listen to our parents at the parent meeting. And then just in general, looking at students over the years, I had a parent to tell me one time, Ms. Reynolds, you guys are telling us to work with our students at home. It's been years since we've been in school, and what we did in school doesn't look
totally
like
different.
What they're doing right now, and that really resonated with me as a teacher. So as an administrator, I keep my ear to the street of what my parents are saying.
Yeah, you keep my ear to the street.
So,
She's a hustler. The ghetto. Boom, 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 boom.
And I do
Boom,
listen
boom,
to
boom,
our
boom,
parents, and I do
boom.
listen to our kids. So one of the things that we're going to do at RWG this year is we're bringing about an integrated curriculum, part of that being Edgenuity. And so Edgenuity is preparing our students for college because it's set up like college courses.
Could you spell that? I want parents to look it up. Edgenuity is EDGENUITY.
Yes.
UNITY. And so we want you to look up Edgenuity because we want you guys to know this is an invaluable tool that we purchased, and it ain't cheap, but we purchased it because we don't want the curriculum to be reduced to just you watch this and figure it out. And so Edgenuity is a huge tool that we're using in case we have to go to remote learning. I had our coaches here and Mr. Howe, he's had a career in professional basketball, starting point guard for UTA. He's played professional ball overseas, and so he's also helping to spearhead with our athletic program. I'm just curious, sir, can you and Chad kind of share with me what can we expect? What can our parents expect as it pertains to our athletic program? What is our ethos, our drive? What should our parents expect with our athletic program this year? Either one of you guys can chime in there.
Coaching. Your kid will get coached here. We are gonna push your kid. We're gonna develop from 7th grade all the way up. That's our plan, to have a pipeline here, bring in at 7th grade and grow them all the way up until they're seniors, and bring in coaches for the high school kids. That is our plan. Bring in coaches, boys and girls, be a national program where people know.
That's right.
I want to come to RWG. We want kids to be banging at the front door out there saying, hey, how do I get on the team? What do I got to do? So coaching is like the main thing. We're gonna have a philosophy and a lot of coaching. Like I really take pride in that. We gotta have coaching.
Because even with you have interesting testimony about what your coach meant to you as a young man, kind of how that was a difference in your life.
Right. My high school coach and my former boss at the college I was at just mentored me I started coaching at 21. I got hurt in college. I didn't get a chance to go play overseas. I didn't get a chance to do any of that. I had to get a job. You know, I started working. I started coaching at A. Smith at 21 years old, high school. So I learned from the best, and I got mentored by the best. So yeah, it's just a different. It's gonna be different here.
And Mr. Howell always says that that when you talk about a career in sports, it's not all on the field and it's not all on the court. One of his things that he wants to prepare kids for, if they love sports, any aspect of sports or beyond sports. Can you guys speak to that, Jared? It's kind of and why? And I want you to really speak to parents who feels that their 4'1", 18-year-old kid is next Allen Iverson, and to speak to parents who have their mind set on their kids being professional athletes, not trying to kill their hoop dreams, but just kind of give us your philosophy for having been in that world and seeing, you know.
My big thing is there's less than 2% of high school athletes that play scholarship basketball or athletics, period.
Less than what?
2%.
Whoa.
So with the number being so low, there's something else that has to be done. So if you have the option of loving sports, but let me backtrack. So the big thing is, in our area, most parents and student athletes don't know all the opportunities that there are when it comes to sports. And the big thing for me is trying to show people how to be at the age of 30, 35 on the front row watching the game or in the press box.
Come on.
And those people that are in those positions are people that are doing something that they love, that they can do until they decide to retire. So being on the court in college or professionally is short-lived. So if you love the game and you love sports, there's so many things that you can do from STEM, like for us as far as data and analytics. I mean, that's everybody in general managers and college programs now, they're hiring people in six-figure positions or more to just do analytics for their athletes. When you talk about commentating, you talk about speaking about sports. I tell students all the time, we'll talk in a barbershop or at home about sports passionately all day long. For free. For free. Start a YouTube channel. When you get 8,000 subscribers, I believe it's 8,000 subscribers, then you can monetize that account and you can start making money with that. So I think for us and here is just offering resources to show how you can use sports as a platform for a 50-year career.
And Chad mentioned about coaching, and he kept saying coaching. I want you to understand why he was saying coaching. Because coaching is, for us, it's a synonym for a mentor, right? So, because he's saying that it goes beyond just coaching here. We want our kids to have mentors. And if you can, and one of the things why I encourage parents to get their kids involved in some type of extracurricular activity like sports is that it teaches them how to be, it teaches them discipline of how to listen, apply, and execute. Because sometimes people get into the workforce, they don't function well because they've never been coached. They've never had someone to have to tell them something that they didn't know. So coaching can reveal a lot of immaturity and maturity of a kid based on their ability to be coached. Somebody want to say on that?
Yeah. Another thing for us, especially during this time with everything going in athletics, athletes now more than ever have a bigger platform as far as their social media accounts and how they present themselves. So as far as coaching here on that end, we're going to teach them how to build a platform and how to use that platform positively for social change in their community or for whatever ideas or things that they want to aspire to, and how to leverage that into success.
Most of us here, who all here? Do you have something you want to say?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Just to make sure.
And she's so sweet, you gotta call her. She's the nicest person in the world. Go for it, Miss Snap.
Okay. So when we're talking about just coaches and students and parents, I'd also like to say teachers. I want to go to every single basketball game.
Wow.
I want all the teachers to go up in the stands and just cheer and shout. And so I want all the parents to know that at least us teachers, we're going to be there for them.
I love it. I love it. I love it because sometimes teachers have to be mom or dad. We just never know who's walking those doors and kind of what they need. So I love that because you're saying not just what you've been on their test, we want to make sure you do that even if you have a good game or a bad game, you see Miss Knapp there saying, great job. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's a thumbs up. So most of us, let me see by a show of hands, who here, you went to private school growing up? You went to private school, all right? Yeah, what grades?
My dad is in the military, so I was in kindergarten through third grade, then sixth, then I think fifth and sixth grade.
Is it so? Then the rest of it was all public school?
Yes, sir, or homeschooled.
So I'm curious, and especially from Ms. Brown, what has, and you two, because you got, well, really all three of y'all. So what have y'all seen to be the biggest difference in public versus private school? Just for parents who are saying, well, why pay for what's free? What are some of the biggest differences of public versus private school? Anyone? Or Ms. Beatty, anyone who want to add that? Yes, ma'am.
I'll just chime in for a little bit at the beginning. I will say it's not just a difference of private versus public school. It's finding a good private or a good public
well
school.
Said.
And I say that because I went to school with a person who went to a small private school similar to our size, but that school did not do they did not do those students justice. And so when we got to college, this person graduated valedictorian of his class. When we got to college, because that school did not do what they were supposed to do right by those kids, the University of North Texas made him take 3 aptitude tests to prove that he was ready for college. Because when they looked at his transcript, he was missing classes.
Oh my goodness!
And it just so happened he was smart enough to do well on the test. So I say all that to say that he graduated valedictorian of his class. But I say all that to say this: it's not just private versus charter. Private versus public. You've got to find a good school that is truly giving quality education.
That's a great clarification. Great clarification.
Dr. Goins, could I just say with that too, because both of my children went to private school, different ones. And I saw for a fact that my son was much more prepared. He's now Dr. Aaron Brown.
Awesome.
Yes, sir, thank you. But the private school that he went to, Jesuit College Prep, when he got to SMU and was majoring in biology, it was the same biology book that he used his freshman year there that he'd used his senior year.
Wow.
In Jesuit. So that experience of finding that great private school, their experiences were different. Because we'd always thought our daughter might still be the brighter of the two.
Well, okay.
I
hope y'all not. I hope you're not streaming. We at least you're a doctor.
He has a healthy self-esteem. No, she was always more motivated.
Right.
But when she got to college, she struggled a little bit because she had not been prepared in the same way. Whereas he was in a background where not only did they push them, they were forced to critically think and figure things out, not just be taught everything, spoon-fed everything.
That's right.
So the differences in what I see here when you're talking about people who thoroughly know curriculum and content and then can take that and extrapolate other things into that and integrate them so that they're not so disjointed and more difficult to understand, but to show how those things work together to make a huge difference. That makes all the difference in the world.
Well said, sir.
Yeah, I have a quick story just to kind of go with that. I had a former athlete that I coached in public school that was a straight C student, and straight C student for 2 years. And then his senior year, he transferred to a private school, and he made straight A's at a private school. And I knew it wasn't his intellect, and I asked him, I said, what happened? What was the difference?
He said, I knew it wasn't his intellect. I hope you're not streaming, sir. But go ahead.
I knew it wasn't. I knew he was a smart kid, but I couldn't understand why he was getting all C's. So after he went to the private school, he said the difference was having 2 teachers in the room and having less students in the room, so he wasn't distracted and he can ask the questions and figure things out. Had the opportunity to figure those things out. So now he's about to be a senior football player at Jackson State and about to graduate in 4 years.
And guys, you really can't stress enough, that 12-to-1 student-teacher ratio,
It's a big difference.
that's huge. You about to say something, Beatty?
That was one of the biggest things for me, the student-teacher ratio.
Right, and it just makes sense. It's more teacher to go around when you don't have as many students. Chad, I saw you about to jump out of your chair when we asked that.
I mean, coming up, far as Jerry can attest to this, all of us can. It was all about the state test in public school. Like when I got to college, I'm not gonna lie, I struggled because I wasn't taught those note-taking abilities, those study habits. It was toss when I was coming up. It was toss, test, toss. That's all it was about. So when we got to college, we struggled. That first semester was the hardest semester of my life, so it was hard because I didn't know how to study. I didn't know how to take notes.
And Chad, was any of that from high school? Do you feel that since you were an athlete, you kind of got
Yes.
a little pass on certain things because you're an athlete?
I'm not gonna knock my high school, but I went to the famous Dallas Carter High School. So football, basketball was king there. If you played those 2 sports, they didn't just pass you through. They pushed us. But the thing is, like, you got a little.
Sure. Yeah, you got a little. Right.
Yes, you okay. You be all right. Just come to
Right.
tutoring. And I think now being here, I can see that, if I would have went to private school, I would have been a little different in college.
Sure. Wow. Wow.
So, I mean, I see the difference already.
And principals, we also have, each student has their own package, their own kind of graduation plan, correct?
Absolutely. So we are doing personal graduation plans.
Please hear this, guys. This is huge.
Next week, if you have already registered for school, you should be registering for consultation days, academic consultation days next week, where we are literally going to sit down with each individual family, each individual student, and we're going to look at your transcript. We're going to see what classes you've taken. We're going to see what you need to take. You're going to declare your graduation path, your CTE path. Are you going to be a business and industry student? Are you going to be a health and human service student? Are you going to be a STEM student? You're going to choose your
Are
pathway.
y'all hearing this? This is huge stuff.
Yes. And you will take
crazy.
classes, going back to Edgenuity, you would take classes according to your interest. So, for example, if myself and Coach Chad, we were both STEM pathway students, we're still not taking the exact same courses at the exact same time because maybe his pathway within STEM is engineering, but maybe mine is math. So we both fall under STEM, but we're going in our own pathway. That's the beauty of being at RWG or a school like RWG is that while, yes, we do have to make sure you take your regular courses and get your credits, we want to make sure that students are following a pathway of their interest. We don't want to waste their time because there's no time to waste. They're going to blink. They're going to be 18. It's going to be time for them to go off to college, and we want to make sure that they're already on the right path.
Ms. Knapp, you had something?
Oh, yes, sir. I changed my major like 4 times in college, and it almost it made me like have to pay an extra semester just to get through. So to have that kind of foundation for these kids, it's so important. And I wish that I knew from the get-go. I mean, I did want to teach ever since I was little, but regarding what I wanted to teach and how I wanted to teach.
Wow.
It's just to hear that. I'm
That's
really
huge.
excited
Yeah,
for
I mean,
these kids.
that's huge. I mean, to start thinking about what you want to do for a living as a freshman, that's huge. We have a question or a comment from Charles from our online audience.
Yes, online we have actually a testimony from a parent who had a student at RWG recently. And Kimberly says, sending my son last year was one of the best things for his personality and his learning. And that makes me think of a conversation I had with Principal Reynolds where she was a teacher and she encountered situations where students were kind of labeled by their behavior but didn't have intentional encounters. And can you talk a little bit about that, like how that can be a difference in how you can intentionally understand a child and give them what they need for their personality and their learning style?
Absolutely. The story that I shared with, briefly, the story that I shared with Minister Charles was I had a student when I got to a particular school who had been the terror of the school since he was in pre-K. Everyone knew who he was. Without seeing him, they knew the name.
Wow.
And so the
Wow.
year that I got him, I actually had people stopping by my classroom saying, does he still go here? I said, yeah, he's sitting right there in the seat. He hadn't been to the office. We hadn't seen him in the hallway. What's going on with that? I said, there's no need. He's busy. Classroom engagement is the key.
Wow.
You have to, going back to what I was saying earlier, you have to know your student. You have to be in tune. It's
That's
more
right.
than just standing up in front of them teaching
Right.
instruction. You've got to know their likes. I went to his football games, and he knew that Miss Reynolds was involved in his life, and so he performed differently for me. I shared with Minister Charles that every year, teachers always want to see who's going to be in your class next year, who's going to be in your class next year. I made the entire grade level before me mad. They stopped by my classroom. They wanted to see my list. I said, hold on. I'm going to let you see the list, but don't tell me not one thing about
Wow.
a student on
Right.
that list. And
Wow.
that's the reason why, because I know that kids perform differently for those that they know
Up to
care.
their expectations. Yes. You about to say something, sir?
We talked about this last week. A lot of times when you label a kid, they just say, forget it. I'm just going to continue doing that. Sometimes labeling these kids, there's nothing wrong with the kid. The kid just want to put your arm around them.
That's
just
right.
Love them a little
That's
bit.
right.
Because, I mean, if I'm a kid and everybody say, well, he bad, he's this, he's that, he's going to continue to do it until you put your arm around him, just love on him a little bit.
Dr. Goins, can I say one
Sure.
more thing about that situation I was talking about with Minister Charles? That same student, a few years later, some of those teachers that he had as a younger student, they moved up into the upper grades. Well, guess what? They still had the same persona that they had of him when he was little. So off the top, that's how they treated him.
Wow.
Never mind, he was a few years older. So I told his mom, just having a candid conversation, I said, he needs a different environment. It's time for him to move on.
Wow.
He left us and went to another school. Tell you how smart this child really was, but they couldn't see it because they were focused on his behavior. By the time he was in 8th grade, he had clept out of all the rest of his math classes at 8th grade. This is a kid that absolutely hated math when I got him. She came back to me some years later and she said, you were the difference maker for him.
Wow.
He hated school before he got in your class. So imagine as a 9th grader, 10th grader, not having to take another math because at 8th grade, somebody made a difference for you years before that made you love math so much so that you got to test out
And
of the
just
rest
kudos
of math.
to you for sticking up for the student, you know, because I remember this like it was yesterday. In the 7th grade at Ridgewood Middle School in Shreveport, Louisiana, Miss Lyles, she had a conversation with me. It was like the fourth, no, I think it was after the first 9 weeks. And she asked me to stay after class. I said, okay, cool. So I stay after class, and she says, Ronnie, I'm going to, now she was one of them cool teachers that kind of spoke to you straight up. She was like one of the cool white girls, right? She was like real cool, right? She said, Ronnie, I'm going to be straight up with you. That's what she said. I'm going to be straight up with you. Your name in the teacher's lounge is not very good. When teachers found out that I had you in my class, they all got to talking, but he is this, he's not going to do this, he's disruptive and all this good stuff. And I just sat there and listened to them because I just couldn't believe, I wasn't going to accept that. And here she told me, she said, but what I want to know is, can we prove them wrong this year? That's what she asked me. Can we prove them wrong this year? And so me being honorary in a 7th grade gangster, I'm like, yeah, it could. I'm messing with you. So I'm like, but when she told me that, it was kind of embarrassing because I was a class clown. I was a class clown. And I didn't know that that's how people saw me and what was attached to that. And when this teacher took the time, I said, yes, ma'am, Ms. Lyle, let's prove them wrong. And from that time forward is when I started taking, because I was always good at it. I mean, school was just easy. It was just so easy for me, I wouldn't really challenge. So she recommended I start getting enriched classes and gifted classes. And that's why I started turning things wrong academically, because one teacher said, listen, here's how you're coming across, and I know you're better than that. I just want to know, can we prove them wrong this year? And that did everything for me. So big props to you for going to that mom, because you could have, I can imagine, administration probably wouldn't happy with you telling the parent that, right? Good stuff. You didn't teach, I ain't tell that. Okay. So we know that RWG STEM Academy specifically that we are a Christocentric school. Like I'm a believer, and much of I'm informed is with my faith. That's why I really believe that every teacher, you can't teach unless you first love. I don't want you to teach a kid that you don't love. So, and I shared this with our staff weeks ago that no child, no student should ever leave this campus without hearing "I love you" at least 6 times. I want them to hear that from adults, because some kids, they don't hear that at home. A lot of parents say, "I will model I love you, but I'm not going to tell you I love you." I know it sounds foreign, but that's true. And so I want to lead with this by answering a question I've heard, and that is, do you have to be a Christian in order to come to school here? And the answer to that question is no. You do not have to be. You don't have to be a Christian to come here. It's like you don't have to be a Catholic to go to Notre Dame. It's not Notre Dame, it's Notre Dame. I learned that yesterday. And so if you are watching this, you say, you know what, the school sounds great, but I don't want a faith pushed on my child. Well, we're not here to evangelize your children. We want to educate your children, but also model a Christocentric atmosphere. And we can model Christ without even mentioning Christ's name, right? Now, we know we have chapel and stuff along those lines, but I want parents to know this is not a place we're going to force Christianity down a child's throat. But we do want to have an atmosphere that is in line with sound biblical teaching, though, because I believe that more can be caught by we can model the life and love of Christ, and I'd rather model it than teach it and don't walk it, right? And so I just want parents to know that it's more than, this isn't church, this is a school. We have high academic expectations, but we do things in a way of love, of fairness, and we do want to, and we do have things of teaching kids what is a better way of being a better person. So I want to say that. Let me ask this question. When it comes to, let's go to the girls program, right? So Chad, how long have you been working with girls basketball?
So I was on the boys' side for the longest. I just moved over to the girls' side about 4 years ago. So I've been on the girls' side 4 years, and I coach for a nationally ranked, known AAU program called Nike Pro Skills. Okay. Which we are big advocates of girls basketball.
So here's how I want you to set this up. What are you seeing? Because you work with girls, middle school girls, high school girls. What are you seeing, man, that most girls, in brief, that parents may not know that the little girls are dealing with when it comes to middle school and high school? What are some things they're not telling the parents about, but you know about? Please share with parents about that.
Personality, not knowing who they are, who they want to be. It's a big stigma on girls basketball that a lot of girls, just to be honest, they think all girls are gay. They play girls basketball.
That's a stereotype.
And a lot of parents are scared to let their girls play basketball. I mean that's just what it is. But it's not that. It's some very Maya Moore is one big advocate of girls basketball, and she's a lawyer now. You know, so you can do more than just play basketball. Right. Or they say just dribble. You can be more in the girls' game. So
I like what you said, because you're saying you said they're trying to discover who they are. It's like their identity.
Yes.
And sometimes if you don't have the proper environment, you gravitate towards the identity that's readily available to be grasped. Mm-hmm. And so it's important to have the proper environment, for your because these are very formative years. So it's very important to have the proper environment for your child, because face it, they'll probably spend more time with us than with you. And so it's another reason why it's very important that you're mindful of who your young people are spending time with. As I want to make sure I get a couple of these questions in, and Charles, you let me know if there's something online that I need to jump into with. But in preparation, my teachers, I need y'all to help me with this. What should parents start doing right now in preparing their young people for the fall semester? What should they start? Just this morning, Nikki was telling me that, Daniel, my youngest, he's going to be a sixth grader next year. So she's saying, let's go get him, let's go upgrade his tablet to make sure he don't have no problems with his technology. So what might parents need to start doing now in preparation for the fall? Even if they don't come here, because most who come here, our plan is we're going to definitely have in-person learning for sure. Our start date is September 9th. But for parents who are getting their kids ready for school, what should parents start doing right now in preparation for the fall? Teachers, principals, whatever what should they do?
I think first step is have a conversation with them, because this is
with the students,
with their child, with their student, to let them know that if whether it's at home or in person, this is a different year. This is not like anything we've ever experienced. In the event that they are at home, anywhere, any parent, anywhere, let them know that there will be a routine, and set a routine. Whether you are a working parent who's going to be working throughout the day, it's important to have routines, because you're really teaching discipline. When they get to the college campus, there is no one to tell you when to wake up, so set those things now. And then I think that what you and your wife are doing are great in making sure that they have technology available, or a resource of technology.
Okay.
And then also just making sure that they're in tune with how their students learn.
So when you say routine, you're saying, so maybe start now or give them are you talking about with chores, or are you talking about like reading regimens and just assigning them something and say, have this back to me by this time?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Just doing those things of, okay, you have an hour, you have 2 hours to do whatever it is, be it chores or reading a novel or whatever at home. Just making sure that there are some set routines of systems in place.
And should they start giving reading, because we're doing this now, should they start giving reading assignments like now? Reading assignments, yes, sir. You want to say something?
Yeah. I think one thing that's big from teaching Avid in the public school sector is they need a planner, and or a planning system. So that was a major thing, like Chad alluded to, is students don't know how to plan and organize their classes, homework, tests, activities, all those things. So a simple planner, whether it's a device, a technology device, or a paperback planner, just something that they can start getting a system of organizing everything that they have, and it just makes their process a lot easier.
Jared, that is so good. I was just on a conference call with Judge Whitley and the administrators for all the school districts just the other week, and I never even thought about, because we was all throwing in different ideas and things as we're getting ready as they're drafting this policy. But that's something huge. I mean, who's training students? Because I mean, we're going remote learning, some institution, but who's training the students and parents about that planner? That's something that parents don't even have. Have you heard anything, Ms. Brown, are the school districts training parents? And it's something as simple as how to check grades, or how to provide, are school districts doing anything along those lines?
I don't think the normal school districts do. We did. It was part of our regular curriculum, starting with kindergarten and up. The planners are made in that way, so they're K-2 planners, 3-5 planners, middle school and high school.
So districts are offering that training?
Our district did. No, sir. Most districts are not routinely. So that what you'd be doing here would be very, very unique.
Wow. Okay.
But also, to piggyback off what was said before, anything that simulates a school environment would be helpful for the child. And I think it's extremely important for parents to understand the role that they play. And one of the things we used to talk about a lot of times is student responsibility. Because we're talking about the teacher responsibility, administrative responsibility, but you're a student.
Oh, wow.
And for you to understand the role of a scholar, and that you are a scholar, that's who you are, and this is what that looks like.
Sure.
And so for them, even to practice those small things at home, because as great of a job as I've seen here, even preparing for social distancing, et cetera, that's not going to be always possible.
Sure.
And so just for them to get used to wearing a mask at home. Because if you're going to do that several hours a day at school, that's something you need to start preparing for.
It should be a
now.
shock to you. That's a good point.
Yes, sir, so that you're acclimated to it. It's not something completely foreign. And
Gotcha.
after a while, now we're playing with the mask, or it's off and I can't deal with it. But anything that might happen or be required during the school day, If
Good
I'm
point.
mentally prepared for that at my home, it helps everyone, the child, the
Good
parent,
point.
the school.
Dr. Goins.
I would, yes, ma'am.
I was going to say something else.
I was
for
going
the-
to say too, Tremaine, but I just, yeah, I was going to say too.
I was going to say,
but let's
don't
go ahead and go with Tremaine.
parents, don't just assume that your students just know how to do these things via
That's right.
technology because of the generation and the age. Just so you guys know, parents who are going to become an RWG, our plan is with us pushing back the date. The month of August, because we have a lot of newness going on this year. The month of August is going to be set aside just to strategically train and intentionally train our teachers on all the platforms and all the resources that we're going to be using. But the first couple of weeks of school is going to be training our students on how to use all of these resources. We're not just going to assume because they're 16 and it's 2020 that they know how to use these things. We want to make sure that they thoroughly know how to use them. So I think that that's very important. Students will produce a little bit better when they understand how the system is going to go.
And may I add something?
Hold on, just a sec. Go ahead. Just kidding.
Okay. So all I was going to say, is that I think if you have kids who are working from home, have a work space. It shouldn't be in their room. Have a place where they know that this is time to work. A place in the house or the apartment, whatever, the dinner table, but this needs to be workspace. Have an organized workspace for them. It shouldn't be outside on the porch, on the stairs, and it needs to be a set place. They know when I walk in this place, it's time to work. All right, Jared, I want to remind myself about AVID. Now, AVID stands for what again?
Advancement via individual determination.
Now, is the ultimate plan with that is that the kid will go to college? Is that kind of the ultimate plan, or is it a?
Yes, the ultimate plan for that is to teach first-generation students how to go to college and how to get prepared for college.
Okay.
The drawback to that is it only services about 10% of a school that actually has it. So every district doesn't have it,
wow.
but districts that do have it, it only services about 10% of the population.
And I think our whole school is on an AVID type atmosphere as far as preparing. And the reason I want to say that because Dr. Stephanie Boyce, she's a founder of a Fresh Classroom, and she was here with us a couple of months ago, and she said something that I thought was so profound. And she brought up the fact that when most kids graduate college, they graduate with this huge amount of debt. And so they're literally graduating with like a chain around their neck. And one of her goals is to teach parents of how to send their kids to school for free. And so another thing that I want to say is, parents, get your child in a situation in a school where you can talk to a principal, talk to a counselor, about how you guys can start preparing now for your child to go to college without incurring all this debt that they're going to hate when they graduate from college. So we're assuming that all of our kids are going to college. I mean, every graduate from RWG, we have failed if they don't get a college degree. And so, but I also want to say the other part to that is finances. So start thinking like right now about how do our kids apply to college, and it's more than about good grades. It's about extracurricular activities and things along those lines to make their file attractive. Jared has started, is it 5-star, all-star?
The STARS Agency.
The STARS Agency. Briefly, bro, tell us about STARS Agency and kind of what y'all's direction is.
So STARS Agency, our direction is basically we want to take every family and lay out their career plans for them as soon as we get them. So with that, we do college tours to get them on campus. The first tour that we were able to do, it was high school seniors that day that said it was their first time being on a college campus. So how can you choose the college you want to go to if you have no idea of what class size, what the city looks like, all the things that come along with choosing a college, so many factors. How do you choose that without knowing? So we'll host college tours, obviously when COVID clears up, and we're able to do those things. But also we look at scholarship opportunities and financial opportunities because it is a whole decision of finances, location, major, all these factors go in to make sure that when you're choosing that college, is going in with the best information possible of knowing how to get it done. And also with finances, talking about different things from work-study programs that schools provide. This past weekend, I met a basketball official that said he paid his way through college refereeing basketball in college. And he said he made $15,000 a year refereeing basketball, and he paid his way through college. In college?
Oh, that's rich in college. That's
really rich.
$1,200 a month in college, you like rich. So guys, listen, so now we know, I know this is a lot of information, but I want to provide a lot of information. If you have questions about stuff you've heard, you want to inquire about a tour for our academy here, just call 817-466-8967 or go to rwgstem.cc or .com. There it is right there. Yes, .com. Or go to rwgstem.com for more information. Now, to come here, to come here is not just I call up, pay my money, and show up. No. You have the interview to come here. You come here for a tour because we want to meet the parent that we're going to be partnering with. This is not just drop the kid off and pick them up, hope they're better. We want to see who are we going to be partnering with to make this into an academically and ethically successful young person. So if you're interested in our program, call the number, go to the website, schedule a tour, come meet our staff, come meet our administrative staff personally. They want to meet you, talk to you, they want to meet your young person because we want that child to be successful. And so if you're interested with information about our school, schedule a tour, come out. No, this is not free. Amen. And let me just say something about what I feel about when it comes to paying tuition to come to a private school now. I feel that if you're paying to invest in your child's education now, it can save you on money that you won't have to invest later. Because if our goal is to get your kid with the best grades and the best programming and scholarships, that good stuff, that saves you money later. It's a better investment. It's a great investment, yes, sir.
Graduate with college courses.
And oh, Jesus, we didn't talk about our dual credit program. That our plan is for students that choose that pathway, we would like them to be able to graduate with an associate's degree. Graduate with an associate's degree. So we have partnerships with TCC. Is that Texas Wesleyan? So guys, we're trying to change the game with education. And Chad alluded to earlier, we want this program to be nationally recognized. That literally we have a waiting list over 3 years of kids trying to get in here. We want kids applying when they were kindergartners to be in our system. So by all means, come see the difference of what we're doing here. We cannot wait to meet you. So what I'm going to do, guys, this is going to be our speed round. You got 7 seconds to say anything you want to say about education, about our school, advice to parents, anything you want to say. And I'm going to give you 7 seconds. We'll give you like 3 seconds to think about it. And when I point to you, you just go. Speak to a camera and just whatever you want to say about, you got 7 seconds for education and young people. Are y'all thinking? Are you thinking? Are you thinking? Coach.
Come be a lion.
Come be a lion. I love it. Miss Beatty.
RWG is a great place to be. Student-teacher ratio is awesome. We look forward to seeing you here.
I thought you was about to rap. RWG is a place to be. If you don't know, if you make, okay. Principal Reynolds.
Make the investment in your child's future.
I love it. Miss Knapp.
Know that we all love you very much, either way.
I knew you were gonna say something with love or happy in it. I felt it in my Shana Bobo. That's what you're about to say. Miss Brown.
This is the place to be because you address the whole child. Any place that's not teaching character and social skills is not addressing the whole child, even though they may claim to be.
Love it. President Howell.
Don't let finances be a hindrance to coming here. Let's find a way to fundraise and find resources other ways outside of your pockets to make sure your child gets taken care of.
And that's a good point because we do have fundraising opportunities for parents who may need a little help. There are fundraising opportunities you can do to help to raise funds for your kid to be here as well. And remember, when it comes to tuition, it's not going to cost you a lot. It's not going to cost you a little. It's going to cost something. Listen, we love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. For our panelists, thank y'all for taking time to be here today. And guys, we are gearing up for the fall. We are getting ready. And you need to come at least, I would say this. Here's my 7 seconds. At least come see what we're doing. At the very least, come see what we're doing. Come feel the atmosphere. Come meet our leaders. Come see if this might not be a great environment option for your young people. God bless you. We love y'all's life. Peace. See you next week.